There were 16 of them, which was one more than I was expecting when I was handed a clear plastic deli container labeled with a piece of masking tape in the pathology lab of the Beth Israel Hospital for Joint Diseases. 1 week earlier, I had undergone a hardware removal surgery. It was the last day of my last spring break. The next day, I would be heading back to finish my senior year at Warren Wilson College. I'd spent the last 4 years reading and writing poetry, attending full moon keggers and cow pastures, and having a series of hip reconstruction surgeries. The procedures involved breaking and reshaping the acetabulum, the sockets that cup the femurs. Typically, it's a 3-screw surgery for a grand total of 6 shiny pieces of titanium for the average bilateral hip dysplasia patient. Eager to add another trophy to my millennial altar, after 2 reconstructions, I left with the most hardware my surgeon had ever used. So many that he admittedly lost count. 14, he presumed? 15, we counted on the x-rays. Though the hospital was a 2-hour drive from my parents' house upstate, where I had spent the last week hobbling around on crutches, nervous about my new, no-hardware Swiss cheese pelvis, I was intent on retrieving the screws. I had earned them. I no longer needed the metal pieces to hold me together physically, but I wasn't ready to let them go, especially not into some anonymous garbage fire. Unfortunately, sometime between filling out the paperwork for the post-surgical retrieval of the screws, the actual procedure, and then the week I spent recovering in the company of boomers instead of my besties in Barbados, the paperwork had been lost, which is how I ended up in the pathology lab. A yellow-white room no patient is ever meant to see, hot tears on my face, yelling over the whir of platelet machines, and a bunch of very nervous techs, "You lost my screws!" Luckily, they had not. The screws, in fact, had not yet been processed. After a few moments of scramble and panic, an angel in full PPE found my beloved steel bits on a shelf with other clear plastic deli containers full of medical waste. They were unwashed. I proudly took them home. I marveled holding the screws in my hand. They were covered in pieces of me, blood and bone dust. But otherwise, they looked exactly like the kind I might pick up from Ace Hardware. They ranged in size from 1/2 inch to one particularly blood-crusted long boy clocking in at 3 inches. I wondered if that was the angular hard head I used to be able to feel just under the skin when I pressed along the left scar. From there, I started to give them away. One to the boy that I fell in love with when he had visited me bedside in the hospital mid-blood transfusion. One to the childhood friend who I met when I still wore a brace that went from my ribs to my thighs. One to the friend who let me tattoo my name onto his rib cage. One to my college roommate who had quilted me a blanket, and another to a woman who had made me herbal tinctures for recovery. One to a one-night stand who described my limp as swagger. One to someone who didn't understand what the gift meant. I kept the rest. Then I lost a few. I wrapped 3 in red embroidery floss and made a mobile that swung from the fan of my studio apartment in a pink house. I lost some more. I still keep one. 15 years later, never cleaned, and now rusted with my own blood in a jar in my writing desk drawer. When it comes time, bury me with it. I earned it.